Good morning. Yes, we've come past the first Sunday after Easter, what the church calls now Easter 2, and now we're on to Monday. You know, when the angels appeared to the early disciples after Jesus rose from the dead, the message is nearly always the same. They say, "Go to Galilee. He will meet you in Galilee." But where were the disciples? Well, they hung around in Jerusalem. Then Jesus appeared to them in Jerusalem in the upper room. And he said, "I will see you in Galilee." 7 days later, well, Thomas hasn't seen him, and Thomas is not going to move, and they're not going to move until the whole band is ready to go. So once again, Jesus had appeared to them in the upper room, and Thomas now had made the wonderful declaration, "My Lord and my God." "Now," says Jesus, "do what I told you. Go to Galilee. I want to teach you. I want to show you. I want to explain to you what has happened and how it will affect your lives." And off they went. I don't know how long the journey took. It's quite a difficult journey by foot. And it's probably taken perhaps 3 or even 4 days. And they get back to Galilee. And they're back in their homes in Capernaum and Bethsaida and the other places where they lived. There's no sign of Jesus, but they're back with their families. I don't know whether Peter's wife had travelled with him or whether she was still there with her mother, who wasn't very well. But they're back in their homes in Galilee, walking along the shore and wondering what to do. Well, we've come, we're in Galilee, now what happens? What shall we do? Well, they still had their fishing fleets. John and James, their father, was there with the fishing fleet. Probably Peter as well had a couple of boats, and they've been looked after by hired men. But he and Andrew must have said to themselves, well, there's nothing else to do, and Jesus doesn't seem to be here, so let's go fishing. Let's just go fishing, just for the fun of it, just to remind ourselves what our lives used to be like. So into the boat they get, and out on the shore they go. And, well, sometimes you can catch fish, and sometimes you couldn't. It all depends where the shoals were. These days, you know, the fishermen have these sonic machines on board, so they can see the fish in the water. They know where they are. But they didn't have that. They had their experience as fishermen, but they had an idea when there were shoals were around. But on this occasion, they were doing more for fun than anything else. Throwing out the nets, pulling them in, perhaps 1, 2 fish, that's all. Throw out the nets, pull them in. It was hard work, but it was work that they were used to. And then, of course, they've been out at night because fishing was done at night. And then the dawn starts to break. And they're not far offshore, but there's a man standing on the shore. He calls out to them, "Have you caught any fish last night?" "No," they said, "no, nothing at all. We just can't get any at all." And he says, "From where I'm standing, throw the nets on the other side of the boat." Well, nothing else to do. We haven't caught anything. Let's just try it. Throw out the nets on the other side of the boat. But suddenly the net fills with fish. It fills with fish. And they start to pull it in. And one of the disciples says to Peter, he said, "That's him, that's Jesus. He's come back, he's with us. He's there on the shore." And Peter, realizing who it is, suddenly throws a garment on himself and literally jumps overboard. You know how deep it was at that particular point, but swims or wades to the shore. And the others come as well, pulling this net full of fish. Now, something strange. When the other disciples come ashore, they find there's a fire laid. Who lit the fire? I don't know. On the fire, there are already some fish cooking. Well, who caught these fish? We don't know. There's some loaves of bread cooking as well. Who made this bread? We don't know. Did Jesus just create it out of thin air? Or did he actually go and purchase it from the villagers? Did he bring it with him? We have no idea. But what he does say to them, he says, "Go and bring some of the fish you just caught." And they go and they start counting out the fish that they bought. We are told there's 156 of them, large fish. At that time, people actually thought that the number of nations in the world was 156. So this figure was very symbolic, because Jesus was saying quite simply, you follow my instructions, you do it my way, and you'll reach the nations of the world. They will be just like fish in your net, because I will make you fishers of men. And I think he wants to say the same thing to us as well. He says, okay, so you're out in the world, you're doing your best to spread the gospel, but it's not going very well. Here and there you get a person coming in. I used to think, sometimes the amount of time you spent, and there's just one person would come in, the amount of effort to get one new convert into the church. But Jesus said, you do it my way, I'll bring them in, You just make sure you're doing it my way. Cast the net on that side, because that is where they are. And listen to him telling us how we should do the fishing, because if we are truly fishers of men, then we have to do it his way. And they brought this net ashore, and they met with him. And they met with him at the start of a time when he's going to be teaching and instructing them. Amen.